Volkswagen.
It's always a good afternoon and great company. Montreal Now with Aaron Rand on CJAD 800.
Welcome back. I'm sure we're all up to date now. You've seen these images on TV, and they're terrible to watch. You can imagine what some people are going through in British Columbia now, dealing with these wildfires. I think now, the last figure I heard, there are over 100 different wildfires burning across the province. And the one, of course, that we've been focusing on, the one that's been kind of capturing the headlines, if you will, for all the wrong reasons, is the fact that Summerlin, BC, a town where now 20,000 people have been forced to evacuate because of the fires. Now, our next guest actually lives in Summerlin, but the story here, because there's a local angle to it, Carl Boucher is a former Quebecer, lived in Chicoutimi, who ended up moving to BC, and of all places, basically just, from what I understand, just bought a new home and set up only a few weeks ago. And of all places, as I said, Summerlin, BC. Carl Boucher is on the line. Mr. Boucher, thank you for coming on today. Very much appreciate your time.
Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, you are correct. We just moved into our new home 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
First of all, I mean, I know you were forced to evacuate. You have kids, right? You have 3 kids. How is everybody doing?
Well, we're doing well right now. I mean, we're with family on Vancouver Island, so my wife's parents are here in Victoria. So we feel we're grateful, we're blessed, because many of our friends are either camping somewhere in a trailer or at the evacuation center in Penticton, and or squished with other friends throughout the valley. So, I mean, we're here. We have a clean air to breathe, not smoky, with the blue sky. So, at the end of the day, it's when you put everything in perspective, it's stressful, of course. The kids are asking all the questions, but we're safe. So that's the most important thing, I guess.
If I could just go back, and I want to talk about what you've had to go through here, but what originally took you from Chicoutimi to BC?
Well, I did a 15-year stop in Calgary in between. I moved from Chicoutimi to Quebec City moved to Calgary, where we opened, I've been in the restaurant and wine industry for quite a while now. So we opened a couple French restaurants in Calgary, became a wine consultant, and when I started a new business with my wife in 2020, we started a wine club and featuring exclusively Canadian wine. So I was traveling between Calgary and the Okanagan all the time to meet with wine producers. So we've decided in 2020 to move the family to the Okanagan and directly to Summerlin. I grew up in a small town. We wanted to be in a small town, a small community, and I mean, we love Summerlin. It's such a nice, tightly owned community, and coach hockey, coach baseball, and I mean, it's wonderful. And now to see our friends losing their house, and they've just been sitting here and not knowing what's happening. It's quite stressful, but hey, we're safe. So
yeah, there is that. Do you have any idea whether your home is gone or not?
Yeah, I know for a fact, according to the NASA map, my house is still standing. So we know that from the other side of the village, that's where, just coming out of the Garnet Valley, where we were supposed to buy our house in April, and we changed our mind, and we bought something that on the other side of town. But the Garnet Valley and the other side of downtown are that's where the friends have lost their home. So for us, I believe that the landfill right now is on fire, which is maybe 2 kilometers from our home. So hopefully the wind are going to keep the fire away and maybe shift things, and we can get home at some point in the next couple of weeks.
Look, and obviously that would be ideal. It's nice to know your home, from what you understand, is still okay. Can you just walk us through how this happened, like when you realized that something was going on, and that, because I understand as well, you've been out now for at least a few days. When did you begin to realize something was up as far as the fires are concerned? How close were they?
Friday night, so 5:45, close to 6 o'clock, my wife and I were sitting on our back deck, enjoying the view, and at some point I saw a line of smokes over the mountain, and I said, "Oh, hey, look what's happening." And our middle son was on the boat after a round of golf with they went boating, and I saw the smoke, and it was 5:45 at dinner time, and that line of smoke was like a volcano. And by 7 o'clock, everything got dark. They evacuated the lake because the water bomber and the helicopters were on and off the lake. So they evacuated all the boats. So, around just before 8, I decided to go pick up my son to the friend's house where it usually takes me less than 15 minutes to go there. It took me over an hour.
Wow.
With chaos in town. Absolutely chaos. All of the big, the heavy equipment were driving out of there where they were, loader tractors, everything. The 2 gas stations that we have were overwhelmed. People shouting at each other.
We're losing you on the phone, so I'm sorry. Just I'm going to cut in here. I don't want to lose you on the phone because we're cutting in and out. You made a decision on your own, Carl, to get up before you were told to, before you were warned to get out?
No, after I pick up my son, I asked them to put together a bag, an emergency bag, and say, "Hey guys, we might have to leave tonight, so let's go to bed." And the question of my wife and I, like the road were crazy busy, so I wanted to let the traffic go first, because the road from to get out of the Okanagan, there's only 2 ways: one from Peachland, one going through Peachland, the connector to go to Merritt, or the other one going down south to go to Princeton. The one up north was already blocked off because there was a fire by the highway to go to the North Road, so we had only one way out. So I wanted to let the traffic go first, and so we went to bed with some alarm, but the emergency alarm woke us up at 3 a.m. No more power, no more water. So that's when we walked outside, and that was the moment where it hit. Like, there's no lights, only the glare in the mountain, the red, orange glare of the fire, the sound of the crackment of the fire, and the heavy smoking ashes. And now the boys were like, "Holy smokes, are we going to be okay, Dad?" Yeah. And so hey, let's get in the car. My wife drove with my oldest and his older car because he's 17. So we split, but we drove behind each other for 8 hours, and we went to we made our way to the island. So.
By the way, so I understand as well, so you decided to leave at 3 a.m. You got woken up, and thank God for that. Did you have neighbors as well? Were they leaving? How did that happen?
Yeah, so the first thing before we left, we went to all of the neighbors' house.
Okay.
There was a couple of them who hasn't gone yet. So, but yeah, most of the people, almost everybody, were gone at that point. And now my understanding is there's nobody in town anyway. There's no power. There's no water supply anyway. So, and it's now the national state of emergency. So no one can be there anyway. So that makes it hard to get proper information and timely information. Thanks, we have one update last night, but just standing here, try to follow some maps that we can find online, but we're not swimming in information, I'll tell you just that.
Yeah, which was my next question. So you're lucky enough to have a place to stay. You found out that your house is going to be okay. What about going back? Are you being informed? What is the local authority doing to let you know what's going on in your town?
Well, let's be realistic here. No, the power infrastructure and the water infrastructure have been damaged, so we're not going back in the next 24 to 36 hours, that's for sure. So I'm thinking maybe a week, maybe more, maybe like some people I'm hearing maybe 2 weeks, which is it's not ideal for sure. God bless our family, but we're looking forward to get back into our own space. But at least I'm expecting at least a week before we even think of going back.
I need to ask you, I have to wrap up here, but given what's going on in BC, given the wildfires, which seem to become a regular sort of, sadly, situation there, are you having second thoughts about staying there?
You know what, Aaron? It's such a beautiful small community. I'd say no. My boys it's home for them. Like, they love their school, they love their friends, they love their hockey teams, and if we're moving somewhere else, and there's a different problem, different issues. So what I would say, it's to call to our government and our local authorities to have a better plan to prevent it. We're sending billions of dollars on the internationals to support other countries, but maybe if we put some plan together to prevent and to have some solid plan, maybe it will help in the future. Just my 2 cents.
I got it.
Here.
Carl, I very much appreciate your time. I wish you and your family all the best and hope you can get home sooner rather than later. Thank you so much.
Greatly appreciate it, Aaron.
Take care. Carl Boucher, former Quebecer living in BC, in that particular town, Summerland, BC. And you see how fond he is of that town and, just waiting to go back. Not a matter of what happens if this happens again. Committed to staying there. 3:18. Let's go.
Hey, I'm Ruby Carr, the host of the podcast Encore. Check out our brand new episodes featuring music from the show that everyone is reheating as we speak, Heated Rivalry. Join me as I go behind the songs that brought Shane and Elia together. I'll tell you the stories of Feist, My Moon, My Man, Wolf Parade's I'll Believe in Anything, and Tattoo's All the Things She Said, and how they all became a part of this global phenomenon. Stream Encore on iHeartRadio, Crave, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Feeling out of the loop? Get into it.
Get into it.
Montreal Now with Aaron Rand.
CJAD 800.
So some good news from the grocery aisle, I guess. Been a while since we've been able to say something is, going better and costing less if you have to do your grocery shopping. One of the items, I guess, I shouldn't say I know it's going to cost less. I just know that it's been a very good year, we're told, for corn, local corn here in Quebec. So let's find out more. Phil Quinn is from, of course, Quinn Farm in Notre-Dame-de-l'Île-Perrot and is on the line. Phil, thanks for coming on. And let me start because, I don't really understand if one translates into the other. So first of all, with respect to it being a bumper year for corn, what does that mean?
Just lots and lots of corn on the market right now, just huge volumes. Usually corn, whenever we plant it, we'll plant at different dates, and we'll have different varieties with different maturity dates. And for some reason, the entire first batch all came on at the same time, despite our first corn being a 59-day to maturity, from planting to maturity, and our later corn being a 80 or 82-day maturity. They pretty well all came in at the same time. So we've got a bumper crop right now, which is uncommon. We usually do a better job of staggering it.
When you say better job, I mean, there's only so much you can control, right? Was weather an issue? Because I thought the weather was not great for corn to begin with.
Right. Well, to get the season started, we at our farm, we had great conditions to get in the field nice and dry, and then it turned wet and cool, and everything kind of just stagnated for a while.
Right.
Usually the gap between plantings there is maximum 2 weeks, and that between the first and second planting, I think we got something like 16 days, 17 days, which is unheard of. Just because everything was just so stunted and taking its time growing out. And for some reason, the conditions just lined up and made it so that everything ripened at the same time.
Let me ask a dumb question, because they will all be dumb, given I know very little about this. Does this change in terms of, early versus late? The taste of the corn, is some better than others? How does that work?
Oh, definitely. Some of the older varieties we used to grow there had a very, very short window for harvest. You had to pick it when it was perfect. Otherwise, the sugars that are in the corn would turn to starch. The newer varieties, the newer genetics there are much, much better at keeping that sugar around a lot longer. The corn will actually start shriveling up and drying, and it'll still taste sweet. The texture will go out the door, but the sweet sugar will still be there. So, yes, different varieties will have different colors. We'll have yellow, we'll have bicolor, we'll have white, and different maturity dates and flavors. Some will be very ordinary, some will be quite starchy, some will be outstandingly sweet.
So I guess the question following that would be, how do you pick the right ear of corn if you want to get something, get the best one? What do you look for? Is there any way to tell the difference before you sort of peel it back?
Oh, no, not if you don't get it at a reputable producer or someone you trust and know that time and time again they will have high quality corn. It's kind of a toss up. But more and more the growers are selecting newer varieties that have a higher sugar content. But some are still stuck in their ways.
So if I don't know what I'm doing, he said, looking into a mirror, and I want to get the best possible corn, first of all, where should I be buying it? Outside of going to Quinn Farm, where would I go to buy this?
Oh, at any farmer's market there, where you can go week after week and have a relationship with your producer, or even a great fruit and vegetable store would have high-quality corn. A good buyer will actually, before buying corn, will actually peel it open and try it raw And if it doesn't taste good raw right there on the dock, they don't buy it.
And if I'm going to, say, my local market, and I've seen people do this, and I'm not sure what they're looking for, they peel back, right, the husk, and they look at the kernels. You said some are white, some are yellow, some are a mix. Is there a difference in texture or taste there?
If your local fruit store will let you try it, by all means, go ahead and do it.
Well, I do it behind their back, Phil. So
right. You just sneak one into the washroom and have it. The best way is to definitely try it beforehand. But if you're going to a reputable store, you'll be getting some good quality products.
And I just want to make sure I understand this. Better there than you would buy it like at a major grocery chain, like at a Metro IGA, or is there a difference? Because usually they have these big boxes with like hundreds of years of corn in them.
Yeah, if it looks dried up and old, odds are it will taste dried up and old.
Okay.
If it looks nice and crisp, like fresh flowers, the beautiful texture. If you look at the end where the ear was tied to the plant, if it's all dried up, if it's still crisp and looks fresh, it'll be tasting much better. The quicker you can have it from the plant to your mouth, the better. And the longer that is, the more those sugars will turn to starch.
Okay, last dumb question. Is there a difference when I'm buying this, right? I see some, as I said before, there are like white kernels and yellow kernels. Is one sweeter than the other? Should I be buying all yellow, all white? What's the sort of rule there?
Oh, there's garbage in every color.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Right now at the farm, our best variety will be Vision, and it tests at 26% sugar this morning. Beautiful corn, and it happens to be yellow. Right there behind it would be the Cadence. Cadence would be a beautiful, large bicolor, two-color variety. And we have some other two-color there that we're not even going to be picking for the store because it doesn't match our quality standards. Every year we try new varieties just to see what else is out there, if we got better or worse. And sure enough, one of the varieties we planted this year just did not. It's not up to snuff, so we're not going to sell it.
Okay. By the way, so what's corn going for if you're buying a dozen ears of corn? What would you be paying now?
Anywhere from $10, $11 at the top end down to $5, $5, $6 on the lower end.
Okay.
And yeah, you've got every quality there in that spectrum.
Okay. All right. Good year for everybody. Get out there and buy your corn. It's been a great year. Phil, thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
Hey, thanks very much for having me.
You bet. Phil Quinn from Quinn Farms. You can go to Quinn Farms and buy it there as well. I didn't know they had names. Right, that's pretty cool. And again, even as he said at the top end, right, if it's $10 or $11 for a dozen, that's still pretty cheap, all things considered. Where are you buying that kind of food for that kind of price? So make sure you have that on your list for Friday.
Oh, for sure,
right?
For sure.
Because it's a shame to waste that if we're having a good year. Get that corn out. We have news coming up next on the other side of that. Going to talk to Dr. Joe. I'm a little concerned by the story he's going to talk about today, which concerns aspartame. I'm concerned because I was online the other day and a guy went to great detail about why aspartame in diet soda is in fact not bad for you. Dr. Joe says otherwise. That's next.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio, hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll. Coming to get you! One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them. It's only love, and that's all.
Bryan Adams Radio. I'm coming back to you. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds great.
The very latest news, reported and discussed. Welcome back to Montreal Now on CJAD 800.
All right, welcome back. We say good afternoon to Dr. Joe Schwarcz. Joe, just before I get to this, we were talking to Phil Quinn from Quinn Farms about corn, the fact that it's been a bumper year so far for corn in Quebec, and someone texted in, I should have asked, although I didn't know this was a serious question, how long you should boil corn before you know it's ready. If I ask you off the top of your head, Joe, how long would you say?
I can tell you because I've actually studied that, believe it or not.
Very well.
It's three minutes.
That's it?
So what I do, you bring the water to a boil, then you put the corn in. And when it starts to boil again, because it will cool down a bit when you put the corn in, right? When it starts to boil again and count 3 minutes from then.
Okay.
And you'll have a perfect corn.
There anything you don't know?
You can also grill it, right?
No.
You can
Joe.
steam it.
Yeah. And I know some people say you can microwave it too, but I think that's blasphemy to microwave.
I would agree.
Okay.
I would agree. I mean,
right.
you can do it. You know, you also can microwave ants, but do you want to do that?
Well, that wasn't on my scorecard here today. Dr. Joe Schwarcz, host of the Dr. Joe Show. It airs Sundays at 3 here on CJAD. He's also director of the McGill Office for Science and Society. Look, I want to go to this aspartame story. It's what I teased yesterday. Because I actually was going to send you this, and I didn't do it. I will after the show today. I came across something online. I'll preface it by saying online, suggesting that aspartame, as bad as it's made out to be by some people, is in fact not so terrible. It's found in other things as well. But your story today suggests there's a new study that claims it can be very bad for you.
Well, you know, this has been an ongoing controversy ever since the artificial sweeteners were first introduced. The very first one was saccharin, which was introduced over 100 years ago. And it almost immediately was controversial. Harvey Wiley, who at that time was the chief of the Department of Agriculture, which later became the FDA in the U.S., he was very much against it. He was against most food additives. But President Theodore Roosevelt, who, as you may know, was kind of portly, loved saccharin because it said he would eat less with it and he would lose weight. So he told Wiley to forget about any kind of legislation against saccharin. But ever since then, there always has been controversy, and especially about aspartame, which was introduced in the 1980s and immediately became very popular because it had very little or almost no aftertaste. But people began to take aim at it, saying that when it breaks down in the body, it releases methanol, which is a neurotoxin. Well, yes, it does release methanol, but the amount of methanol is trivial. Our body makes methanol naturally during a process of metabolism, so that really didn't hold any water. But now we have a study that I wanted to mention because it just came out from Brazil, where they followed a very large number of people, over 1,000 people, over 8 years. And these people filled out diet questionnaires, and every 3 years they underwent testing for cognition. So they did tests for memory, for word fluency, and these are standard tests that are used to evaluate mental performance. And it turned out that the people who were in the highest category of artificial sweetener consumption, not only aspartame, but others as well. But when we're talking not huge amounts, the equivalent of one diet drink a day, that these people did more poorly on these cognitive tests. And what the researchers concluded, that if you do consume that amount of artificial sweetener every day, you can lose about 1 year of cognition from your life. Now, it's hard to know what exactly that means, but it's not a good thing when you see that something is interfering with memory. Now, I do have some concerns about this study because they looked at about 7 different sweeteners, low-calorie or non-caloric sweeteners, and found the same result about impairing cognition, which I find somewhat confusing because these are very different substances with very different molecular structures. So, how is it that they all end up doing the same thing? But anyway, this is what they found, so I don't think it's a devastating study. But as a general rule, foods that contain artificial sweeteners are not nutritional champions anyway. So these are things that we want to limit in the diet because, where do we find them? We find them in diet drinks, which, certainly are not an essential component of diet. You find them in cookies and cakes where they try to eliminate sugar, but that doesn't improve the nutritional profile all that much. So I think it is a good idea to try to limit artificial sweeteners not because they are so bad, but because they represent that you're eating ultra-processed foods. And usually the foods that have these sweeteners have other negative qualities as well.
Right.
So that's where it stands.
But this is kind of a Joe. This is a damned if you don't, right? You want to give up sugar, so you do this, and then you find out, well, this is no better.
Well, yeah. So you drink water, or if you really want bubbles, you drink
soda water.
Soda water, or if you really want to get some nutrition, then you do what you told me you do. You drink your Olipop.
Yeah.
Which at least has less sugar. It only has about 5 grams of sugar per serving.
Yeah. And
you're also getting some fiber in there, and you're getting some prebiotics, which will feed the good bacteria in your gut.
I'm just thinking. I was just thinking for people who are eating cookies. You just said we can't eat cookies. They got sweeteners in them as well. Where's all the joy?
I know. This is the thing: is that when you dig into something, it always becomes more complicated than it first seems.
Yeah.
There are no angels or devils in the nutrition world. It is a question of trying to do the right things, eating mostly plant-based foods, eating lots of fruits and vegetables, staying away from the heavily sugared products. But it doesn't mean that you don't have an ice cream when you feel like having one.
Okay.
The stress that you put on yourself by worrying about what in many cases is trivia is worse for you than consuming those foods.
Good. So Dr. Joe's basically saying, go ahead, eat your ice cream, eat your cookies, just as everything else, everything in moderation.
That's right.
Fair.
Including moderation.
Including moderation. All right, last thing before I run out of time. Do you want to weigh in on this whole peptide thing? I keep seeing more and more about this all the time. Well, what's the latest on this? Can we just say generally good, bad, or indifferent?
It would take an hour to discuss this, even in the shortest possible way. What I can tell you is that peptide is a general classification. It's like saying food. So when you ask the question, is food good or bad?
I see.
It's a meaningless question. It depends what food you're talking about. Peptides, there are hundreds of different peptides that are cruising through our body all the time. They're biological catalysts. Some of them do very good things, like insulin, but there are others that may interfere with hormones. So you have to be very specific about what peptide you're talking about. But of course, health authorities scrutinize the evidence. So when you're talking about something like body control peptide 157, which is the one that is being talked about so much now that people are injecting,
right.
Because Kennedy tells them to do that. There is no evidence that this does any good, except if you happen to be a rat, which in the case of Kennedy you can't exclude. But in any case, you want to look at the evidence, and the scientific community is not against providing substances that can be healthy or useful. We don't say negative things unless there are negative things to say. So right now, the peptides that have been passed by Health Canada, like Ozempic, which is a peptide, it has undergone all the scientific research, so therefore it is allowed on the market. But many of the others that people are buying on the gray market, on the internet, have not undergone the testing that would show that they have a good safety risk profile. Mm-hmm. So why would you want to take a chance?
Right.
Why would you inject something with a syringe into your belly? Because someone who really has no idea what they're talking about is telling you to do that.
Well, that's a fair piece of advice and a fair question to ask, I think, as well. But you know what? People are like sheep sometimes when they see this kind of stuff online, Joe, right? And they figure out he's doing it or she's doing it. They look at them. They look great. I think I'll do it too. That's where we've ended up, I think, these days. Dr. Joe Schwarcz. Joe, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Aaron.
Talk to you next week. All right, let's get to traffic.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Hear all the latest news and have your say. This is Montreal Now with Aaron Rand on CJAD 800.
Welcome back. So we spoke yesterday, of course, about the whole trade situation, the new tariffs that the U.S. may impose on Canadian goods at a level of 50% on goods. Some of them even included in CUSMA, doesn't matter. And this would take place, it would happen August 19th. So we're talking about 8 days away from now. In the meantime, Canadian trade delegation led by Dominic LeBlanc negotiating with the U.S. Are we making any headway? I heard a clip today. Michael Serapio from CTV News, National Ottawa correspondent, on the line. Michael, I heard a clip from Mike Lukatzer yelling at Dominic LeBlanc on his way into the meeting, saying, "Hey, how's it going?" Apparently that's the only interview we can get, and the answer was, I guess he smiled, and he was holding a cup of Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and that was the end of that. So I don't know what that shows. But what do we know? What's happened since then? Any clue?
It shows he has good taste in coffee.
Yeah.
I will say you're right in terms of the officials being very tight-lipped about what's actually happening inside that room. And I think in some ways, Aaron, it goes to the fact that they know that we are dealing with a president who can be, quick-tempered, change his mind, reactive, and so they don't want to do anything that might set him off and then throw things off course. Remember, back in October, our two countries were close to a deal on the tariffs Trump was applying on steel, aluminum, and cars, but that got off the table because of ads that Ontario ran during the Super Bowl. So they don't want a repeat of history here. But that said, they did meet today at 1:30. There was a bit of delay in Dominic LeBlanc arriving in D.C. He was supposed to be there yesterday, but the bad weather turned his plane around, so he had to go this morning. And then they met for about an hour. Now, the good thing is we have learned, reaching out to industry sources, they have told us that there is a target here, and the target is to try to get a deal together sometime early next week, before the 19th, that they can present both to the Prime Minister and the President and avoid the tariffs altogether from happening. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, except that if the Americans, along with the Canadians, it is in our interest to not have these tariffs applied to us. If the Americans are alongside and kind of say, we want this resolved as well, at least that is an indication of some goodwill to try to make sure the 19th doesn't happen.
Yeah, and as I said, if we were looking at prediction markets, right, it seems to me a history, of what's happened in situations like this in the past suggests that the next thing Donald Trump will say, to your point, Michael, if there is some kind of progress, is, we're going to delay that deadline, we'll give another 30 days. I think that's what most people are suggesting might happen here.
Yeah, that's definitely in the possibility. Anthony Scaramucci, who briefly was Donald Trump's, communications person in the first administration, he basically has given an interview with the Globe and Mail saying that, in this case, the president is gonna taco, and taco stands for Trump always chickens out.
Right.
So there's a bit of that going. That there's some speculation around that's going. But that said, who knows? Maybe they come up with a deal. You live with it as long as you can, and then you deal with the next turn when it happens.
Yeah, I got to tell you though, when you bring up Anthony Scaramucci, when the mooch weighs in on something and he's not even in the administration anymore, you have to wonder what kind of weight you attach to that to begin with.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. But, I will say he does speak to a lot of people in Washington. So he might not have the first-hand knowledge, but he's getting the stories. And so that's a little bit of an insight. You're right. It's not the holy book, but it is something to go by.
I wonder, too, it's interesting in Quebec. We had Christine Frechette, the premier now, come out the other day when we talked about the alcohol ban, and maybe that's one of the concessions that's being discussed. And I think we mentioned that the other day. I haven't heard any other Canadian premiers weigh in on this other than her. And of course, because it's Quebec, that's perhaps not a surprise. Have you heard any reaction from any Canadian premiers outside of Quebec suggesting that this concession on alcohol would work or wouldn't work, or they take part in it or not?
Well, Alberta, Saskatchewan, they're not a part of this boycott anymore. The other provinces are actually sounding a lot like Christine Frechette. It's like if we can get a deal that is advantageous to our economy, then we're open to putting the alcohol back on store shelves. The lone holdout right now is the Premier of British Columbia, David Eby. He was asked about it just a couple of days after Trump signed the proclamations with this tariff threat, and he said that there was no way in HE double hockey sticks that he was going to let American booze back onto BC shelves. So he's the lone holdout at this point. He hasn't made any comments subsequently, but to be fair, they're dealing with wildfires in British Columbia and tens of thousands of people have been displaced. So he's got immediate concerns at home.
Did Wob Canoe? What was the Wob Canoe clip on getting American booze back on shelves? I can't remember now.
I can't remember.
No Kuzma, no Boozma.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
You got it. It was a good one.
But he hasn't weighed in. Okay. I don't know. Look, I was just going to say, I don't know how this plays out. You'd think at the end of the day, and I think it applies to Quebec, if we were to get some concessions, and let's say in aluminum, right, which is a big industry here, then obviously the Premier would say, okay, well, we got something, so we consider that. But I don't know what it would mean for other provinces. What's Manitoba going to get? I don't know. For them to say, we'll put booze back on our shelves, what's the U.S. going to give them that would make a difference?
Well, I think it is the fact that you're looking at this 50% tariff that would affect so many products, right? And when you go through the list of it, it's a long list of unrelated products, and it's designed to hurt everybody, right? It was this big kind of nuclear option to kind of say, if you don't move, you're going to hurt. And it's kind of equally applied because it can go from everything from hockey sticks to jars of jam to furniture. So it was designed to kind of hurt us coast to coast.
By the way, I'm not sure if it would apply here, but we know in the past, right, the original tariffs, some of which were there, they were overruled by the Supreme Court. Money had to go back to people who were paying ththose tariffs. I mean, is that a possibility here if this were to come into play?
Donald Trump, he is in this case using an old statute. This is a 1930 law that he's invoking. So, and there is right now no court challenge on it. The other ones were more, he was using tariffs that legally you have to go through Congress, but he's actually found a set of tariffs, rules on the books,
I see.
A law that has never been invoked, but is within the purview of the executive office. So in this case, it's probably more, it's more impervious to illegal action.
Okay. Mike, I got to wrap up. Look, we still have 8 days left to go before this thing takes effect. We supposed to be optimistic, pessimistic based on what's happened over the past couple of days, or really no change?
You know what? It's really no change. Okay. I don't want to give false hope to people.
Okay, I'll do that. Michael Serapio, CTV News, the National Ottawa correspondent. Michael, thank you so much.
Thanks, Aaron.
Take care. We're going to get you to news at the top of the hour. And then when we come back, you will meet Montreal Alouettes quarterback Davis Alexander. He's going to be in studio. That's next.
Montreal Now is brought to you by Dormez-vous. Get serious about sleep at Dormez-vous with up to 20% off mattresses, pillows, sheets, and more. Limited time only. Restrictions apply.
Metropolitan Rust Proofing is currently offering $20 off a complete rust proofing treatment during its summer special. Offer ends soon. Metropolitan Rust Proofing, a smart investment that really pays.
Hey, I'm Ruby Carr, the host of the podcast Encore. Check out our brand new episodes featuring music from the show that everyone is reheating as we speak, Heated Rivalry. Join me as I go behind the songs that brought Shane and Elia together. I'll tell you the stories of Feist, My Moon, My Man, Wolf Parade's I'll Believe in Anything, and Tattoo's All the Things She Said, and how they all became a part of this global phenomenon. Stream Encore on iHeartRadio, Crave, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to the voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeartRadio station.
Hey, I'm Ruby Carr, the host of the podcast Encore. Check out our brand new episodes featuring music from the show that everyone is reheating as we speak, Heated Rivalry. Join me as I go behind the songs that brought Shane and Elia together. I'll tell you the stories of Feist, My Moon, My Man, Wolf Parade's I'll Believe in Anything, and Tattoo's All the Things She Said, and how they all became a part of this global phenomenon. Stream Encore on iHeartRadio, Crave, or wherever you get your podcasts.